If you want these horror stories to continue, please subscribe now. And don't forget to like. The market was alive and ordinary. Music played softly from small speakers. People laughed, and racks of clothes stood neatly arranged. Shoppers moved from stall to stall, touching fabrics, checking sizes, bargaining casually. Nothing felt strange. It was just another busy day. Vendors chatted with each other while folding shirts and hanging jackets. Customers tried on coats in front of mirrors, spinning and smiling. The air smelled of perfume, cotton, and street food drifting in from outside. The market felt safe, familiar. A woman placed a sweater on the counter and turned to grab her wallet. When she looked back, the sweater was gone. She laughed nervously, assuming it had slipped off. The vendor checked under the table. Nothing. Both shrugged it off. At another stall, a rack of dresses swayed slightly. No wind. The seller reached out and steadied it. The moment he let go, one dress slid off the hanger and dropped to the floor. When he bent down to pick it up, it wasn't there anymore. Whispers of confusion spread. A man complained that the jeans he was holding vanished from his hands. A woman swore the shoes she tried on disappeared while still on her feet. Vendors began checking their stock, counting quickly, faces tightening. Clothes started moving on their own. Sleeves twitched. Hangers clicked together softly like teeth. A long coat slowly dragged itself across the floor, leaving nothing behind when someone tried to stop it. The music cut out without warning. Panic crept in. Sellers shouted, accusing each other of stealing. Customers argued, pointing at empty racks that had been full minutes ago. Mirrors showed reflections that lagged behind, copying movements a second too late, or not at all. A loud thump echoed as an entire rack collapsed. When people rushed over, the metal frame lay there alone, every single piece of clothing gone. The air felt heavier. Breathing became harder. The lights flickered, dimming unevenly. Someone screamed. Shirts began sliding off hangers in waves, vanishing mid-air. Scarves wrapped briefly around arms before dissolving like smoke. Vendors backed away, horrified, watching their livelihoods disappear without explanation. The market fell silent. No clothes remained. Only empty racks, bare mannequins, and trembling people. Then, slowly, fabric-like shadows crawled along the walls. The market wasn't closing. It was undressing itself, preparing for something worse. The doors refused to open. People pushed, pulled, screamed, but the exits felt sealed, as if the walls themselves had decided no one was leaving. The market lights dimmed further, casting long, warped shadows that didn't match their owners. Bare mannequins began to crack. Thin lines spread across their plastic faces, mouths opening wider than possible. From inside them came the soft sound of fabric tearing, though no fabric remained. The sound crawled into everyone's ears. Empty hangers lifted from the racks, floating slowly. They spun in the air, clinking together, forming rough shapes that looked almost human. When someone threw one to the ground, it snapped back up on its own, shaking violently. The floor changed texture beneath their feet. Smooth tiles became soft, uneven, like layers of stacked cloth pressed together. Every step sank slightly. Panic turned into pure terror as people realized the market was no longer solid. From the corners, folded shadows emerged, shapes shaped like coats and shirts stitched together wrong. They moved without walking, gliding silently. Wherever they passed, the walls peeled, revealing more racks beneath, older, rusted, forgotten. Voices whispered from nowhere and everywhere, mimicking the sounds of bargaining, laughter, casual talk from earlier. The market replayed its own memories, but twisted. Every friendly sound stretched into mockery. A pile of missing clothes suddenly appeared in the center of the hall. They lay still for a moment, then began to crawl, sleeves bent like arms, zippers opened like mouths. The pile pulled itself toward the crowd. People ran in circles, realizing the layout had changed. Stalls repeated endlessly. Turning a corner brought them back to the same spot. The market wasn't a place anymore, it was a loop, feeding on confusion and fear. The ceiling lowered inch by inch. Threads dropped from above, brushing skin like spider legs. Anyone touched froze briefly. Eyes empty before collapsing. Clothes from the shadows wrapping around them and pulling them away. Only a few remained standing. The market quieted, satisfied for now. The shadows retreated into the walls. The floor hardened again, and the lights steadied. From the outside, everything would soon look normal. Inside, the market waited, hungry, patient, ready for the next crowd. The wind howled through the market stalls, tossing shadows across the empty pathways. People froze in place, their eyes wide with terror, as the vendors clawed at the air, trying to grasp something they couldn't hold. Clothes, trinkets, and wares floated in the air, twisting and vanishing before anyone could touch them. Liam glanced around one last time. Shapes lingered at every corner, slithering like shadows, but not human, moving with an unnatural intent. The crowd slowly left, hearts pounding with fear, unable to explain what they had seen. Then, as suddenly as it began, the chaos stopped. Items fell back into place. The floating shadows disappeared, and the market became eerily silent. Liam exhaled deeply, stepping away from the stalls, yet the visions, the whispers, and the moving objects were forever etched into his memory. The market seemed calm, but the haunting had left its mark. The shadows finally vanished, leaving only silence. The market looked ordinary, but fear lingered. A cold breeze whispered through the empty stalls. He knew some things should never be disturbed. The end